Hi everyone and welcome to Gypsy Homestead. My name is Louie and today I'd like to cover a little bit about the chicken coop that I'm going to be using for the chicks that'll be out here in about a week. They'll be here I think in the week, about a week from now, 7 days. So I bought this chicken coop on Amazon. The link is actually in the description. And it didn't quite come complete. Now, it was missing, it had the parts in terms of the pipes, but it didn't have the connectors. So I had to improvise a little bit, and you'll see that on the inside. If you look at the middle section, which I've put in, it's improvised. However, this now stands about 20 feet long, and it's about 10 feet wide. So it's more than enough room for the 21 chickens that'll be going in here, assuming they all make it. They should be, they're doing quite well, but this is plenty of room for 20. I could probably put 30 chickens in here because this is a 220 by 10, 200 square feet. Anyway, so thanks to one of our viewers, the name has been given. It's called the Coop Cabana. I kind of got a kick out of it, so there we go. Had a sign made up for it and everything. I don't have the electric fence set up yet, and what I mean by that is this will be safe from aerial predators. So as long as the chickens are in here, they are safe from the hawks, all the different aerial predators that we might have. It's not 100% safe yet from ground-based predators, things like raccoons, things like fishers. We have coyotes, and so what I end up doing is eventually, and I'll be showing this a little bit later on, not in this video but another one, I'll be setting up an electric fence as well around the perimeter. So during the last 5 weeks that they're here, they'll be able to come out of here inside of the electric fence. Now, I'm going to wait to make sure that they can't get through the electric fence because they have enough feathers that the electric fence won't actually shock them. So it's not so much to keep the chickens in as it is to keep the predators out. So we'll start like that. So to get in, this is probably one of the most difficult parts. Just basically open it up. And this is made from ordinary 1-inch chicken wire, except this is plastic coated. I had to improvise again for the middle section, and so I had to use some standard chicken wire. Not important. But so one door, and there are no other doors on here, so I don't have to worry about anything else. There's only one door in, and well, one door out. So I'm going to bring you a little closer in so that you can take a look. Sorry, I've got the black flies out. Okay, so now that we're inside, I've mowed the grass down just enough so that it provides a cushion for the chickens. They will eventually tamper all of this down, at which point I'm going to have to add in some hay. Because honestly, after a while, it's going to get a little messy in here. So I add in hay, much like I add the wood chips or the pine chips into the brooder. I'll be adding hay into here. Now, sometimes that hay will consist of hay that I've bought, or more often than not, it will be hay that I've collected when I've mowed the grass. So it's not dried up yet, but you will see eventually, if I take you around, you can see how it would get a little drier. Anyway, so this is the stairway where they'll go up in a mating dance. So anyways, here's the ramp where the chickens will go in and out of the house. Currently I've got the door open, but as you can see, it's just basically a ladder of sorts that they can go up. So it starts at the bottom here, they can move up. It's a little more difficult when they're small, but as they grow, this will actually be quite convenient. Now, on the inside, I'll show you the inside in a moment, but the door is just simply hooked on here. I just have a metal hook, and to hold the door open, I just hook this wire onto a screw that's at the top of the house. Now inside the house, this actually used to be a cabinet that I repurposed. So if I remember correctly, it's about 6 feet by 5 feet and a foot and a half tall. I can put that into metric if you really, really want me to. Just put it in the comments if you need it. So repurpose this. Originally, the cabinet was actually 2 feet deep. So it was this deep. And it was completely impractical. It was too much room, and it was next to impossible to keep clean. Now, over the winter, it has pretty much cleaned out. I still have some cleaning to do. I need to take the broom in there. But I'm going to bring you in closer so that you can see how I've got it set up. So if you look inside, you'll see that the floor is actually a combination of some trellising, and on top of that there is chicken wire. So that the reason for that is I didn't want a solid floor, and having a solid floor is actually very inconvenient when you've got chickens or any kind of bird, because, well, how can I put it delicately? Birds poop, and when they poop, if the floor is solid, then you have a lot more responsibility in terms of getting in there and cleaning it. Well, that's fine. If I want to do that, I have to make the opening bigger, of course, so that I can get in there with a shovel or whatever. To be quite honest with you, it's not something I relish, and the reason I don't is mostly because as the poop dries, it goes to powder, and unless you're wearing a proper breathing mask of some sort, it can make you sick. So I figured that it was actually easier to do this. It's easier to keep clean. I just bring in a hose, I can hose it down, it'll go in through there. Yes, it'll end up on the ground, but the ground will absorb it. So all of the urine, all of the feces will be absorbed by the ground. So it is much healthier for the chickens. They will stay away from it because they have so much room to walk around. And especially once I open the door for them, the door stays open all day. And they'll be within the chicken fence, the electric fence. So they'll have all of this room if they want, and they can walk around within the electric fence, so they'll be safe. One of the things you might notice is that there's a bit of shade here, and that is because there is actually a tarp above here. So the reason for the tarp is to provide a certain amount of shade. You see, I want to give the chickens as much sunlight as they want. So if they don't want too much sunlight, then they can hide under this tarp, and it will cut back. Now, of course, as the sun moves in the sky, the shadow from the tarp moves as well. But the midday sun, which is when I was building this, was straight up above us. The shadow it cast basically covered this entire area, and that was great. It kept me cool while I was working. It will provide the additional shade that they need. Also, if during the rest of the day, generally speaking, if the chickens are looking for shade, they can go under the coop as well. They can go in the coop. Now, one of the things about the coop is that the bottom is completely open. Airflow is incredibly important. So if you take a look over here, you'll see that the sides are completely open in terms of there is wire mesh, so that this is the same on both sides. So the airflow goes from either way, depending on where the wind is blowing. And if the wind is blowing from the front, then it will go up and inside as well. The only place that it cannot go is in the back. And the reason for that is the back is actually closed off. It's closed off with metal sheeting. And that is primarily because the majority of the wind we get comes from the northeast. And those winds tend to be quite strong. So to avoid having a lot of wind going through this, because if I had all three sides open, then the chickens would be subjected to quite a bit of wind. This way, they have some shelter. If they wanted to, they could go up against that wall in the back, and they would be fine. In fact, that wall runs all the way to the ground. So if they wanted to, they could go all the way to the back of the chicken coop, or they could go all the way to the back underneath the chicken coop. So one of the other things I have planned is, as I mentioned, the sides are open. In the event of a storm, predicted storm coming in, I also want to give them as much protection as possible. The easiest way to do that is to create a curtain on either side. So there'll be a curtain on the left and right sides that I can roll down in the event of a large windstorm. That curtain is actually made from repurposed garden weed fabric. It's weed fabric that I can't use anymore. However, it will work perfectly for this. Just enough to provide that block for the wind. It'll keep the chickens dry. Chickens don't like to be wet, so they can, when they go in here, essentially they will be dry. They will be sheltered from the wind, sheltered from the rain. If I know a storm is coming, I will chase them into the house. We'll close the door, and they'll stay in there until the storm passes. It's the easiest way to make sure that they stay safe. My primary duty to the chickens is to make sure that they are always as safe as possible. Now, as a steward of the land, I want to make sure that my chickens have the best life possible right up until the last day. And that's why I take all these precautions to make sure that the coop is as strong as possible, that it's as sturdy as possible. So once the chickens go in there, they're protected from pretty much everything. Now, in fairness, if something managed to get through the electric fence and then managed to get through the chicken wire of this chicken coop and then managed to get inside the chicken coop, then quite honestly, there's very little I could do. And that has not been an issue yet. I'm hoping it never will be an issue, but I have to be realistic. We are in the middle of a field. This is a 62-acre farm. Recently, we've had coyote sightings. I personally have seen fishers. I have not yet seen raccoons. People worry about skunks. Skunks are actually not an issue for chickens. Skunks are actually only interested in the eggs. Skunks don't kill chickens. Raccoons do. Fishers do. So those are the things I need to watch out for. Coyotes are predators of opportunity. They will hunt the easiest possible prey. Now, one of the things I do is I keep the grass quite short here. This front area is about 3 acres, 3.5 acres. I keep it short. So by doing that, that gives the predators, like the air predators, the hawks, the eagles, etc., and of course the coyotes, that gives them the opportunity to hunt for rodents. I don't actually have a rodent problem here. On occasion, I'll have rodents in the house, but those are easily taken care of. Generally speaking, though, I don't have a rodent problem. Why? because I've got the grass cut short and I've got the hawks, I've got the eagles. Anyways, I'm getting a bit off topic, but the thing is, as an aerial predator, my chickens in here will be safe. Ground-based predators, I'm about 90% certain that they'll be okay. So just to recap, the chicken wire on the outside will guard the chickens, protect the chickens from aerial predators. It'll protect them about 75% from ground-based predators. Once I've got the electric chicken wire up, it'll protect them, again, that actually goes up to about 90% from any kind of predators in terms of coyotes, the raccoons, the fishers. So they'll be protected from that. And once that door is closed, for example at night, the only way in there is through the bottom. And I'm hoping that that's actually strong enough for them to be protected. Hard to say. So as I mentioned earlier, the sides of the chicken coop are actually made from 1/4 inch mesh. So what that does is provides a lot of airflow. Now, I'm not sure if you can see on this video, but basically that means that both this front side and the others opposing side are mesh. And maybe you can see through here, but the bottom is chicken wire. So there's a lot of air movement that happens. The air movement can flow through the sides of this, underneath the chicken coop, up through the chicken coop. If the air comes in from the front, then it'll hit the back of the wall and come up and keep the air moving. Extremely important to keep airflow going through the chicken. A lack of airflow will kill the chickens. And the reason for that is because it gets very hot, especially in the summertime here. I mean, they'll be here until at least mid-July. And mid-July in this area of the country, just south of Ottawa, mid-July, we can count on temperatures in the low 30s at times, Celsius. So let's say whatever that works out to, but in the 90s Fahrenheit. And if they're in there, it's basically an oven. Now, chickens are extremely sensitive to heat, but not sensitive to cold. I mean, it can get cold, and they'll be fine. If it gets hot, they will not be fine. So that's why it's important to make sure that the temperature is as steady as possible. The roof is made from tin, salvaged from an old barn, and we'll guard them from like hail, things like if an animal gets through, for example, it's covered on 4 sides by metal. So I'm hoping that will be enough to keep them safe. Now, one of the options I have, of course, is that I have an option of electrifying the inside as well. Now, that would be overkill. That would be unnecessary. I mean, if I was going to do anything, I would run a wire about 1 foot out and maybe 6 inches up around the edge, and I'd electrify that. So I'd have 2 levels of electrification. I don't think it's necessary. So as I mentioned before, the back is covered completely in metal. This is tin from an old barn, and I could have, if I really wanted to, just covered the back in the same way that I did the sides. But the reality is this tin, which I recovered from a barn, was about 10 feet long. I believe 3 feet wide. Since the house is only 6 feet long, I had an extra 4 feet. And what I decided to do was to bend it and cover down to the ground, thereby giving a solid roof and side. As I mentioned earlier, the prevailing winds here are from the northeast, so in this direction. And so this is the wall that would get the most wind. This gives the chickens a place to hide against. If there's a large rainstorm, for example, if there's a hailstorm, for example, this roof and this wall will protect them. They will be fine. They may be scared. I can't do that. I can't do anything about that. That's nature. But I know that they'll be as safe as I can possibly make them. That's what that's for. And that goes right across. There's actually two pieces here, two separate pieces, and they are covered. It goes all the way up, and the chicken enclosure, I keep calling it the coop, but effectively it's the chicken enclosure, goes all the way to the back. The reason it goes all the way to the back is from a lesson I learned over the last couple of years. In the evenings, I spent a lot of time, sometimes more than others, getting the chickens to go into the house because they'd run away. It was a game. They'd run and they'd have me chasing around the chicken house. So this year, what I planned on doing was when I put in that center section, I moved the whole chicken enclosure up so that it was right against the chicken house. And by doing that, chickens can't get behind it, which means that I'm not going to have to chase them anymore. Yes, they can still go underneath, and that's fine. They can still go underneath, no problem. But the difference is that this year, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to open the door for them. I'm going to chase the chickens, convince the chickens to come in here into the enclosure, and then I'm going to close that door, the end of the enclosure door. So they'll be milling about here, and as the sun goes down, eventually the chickens make their way into the chicken house. Now, what I can do is then, when it gets dark, I could just come outside and close the door to the chicken house. And in the morning, what I can do is come out and make sure they've got water, make sure they've got food. And once they've got that, I can open the door to the chicken house, and the chickens just come rushing out. It's actually quite fun to watch. I'll try my best to get a video of that. So that's effectively it. My Koopa Cabana. I guess the only thing left now is to put in some spikes to hold down the ends so that the chickens can't get underneath it, nor can the major predators. And I usually do that in the four corners. But that's it. That's it. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. Be more than happy to answer them if I can. And if not, I'll be able to point you to a place that your answers probably be found. Anyway, again, my name's Louis. Thank you for coming by. I hope this was informative. As I said, the enclosure, the link to the enclosure is actually in the description. And I'm loving it, by the way. The instructions were, but if you have questions about the instructions, how to put it together, just let me know, and I'll be happy to give you the information I have. It is actually quite simple, and I think you'll enjoy it once you put it together. Again, thank you very much for stopping in. I really appreciate it. Please, if you like the video, hit that like button. You'd be doing us a huge favor if you subscribe to the channel so that we can build our base and eventually monetize the channel. I'm not going to lie, that's how we can make money. We're not there yet, but that's how we can make money for the farm. And so your subscriptions really make a big, big difference. Your comments make a big, big difference. And we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you again, and see you soon. Bye.